I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Hi ladies and gentlemen, today is December 19th, 2017. I'm Roy Potter, welcome to the Potter Expositor. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Q again today, and also about Trump's speech just the other day that I think you'll find interesting. First of all, let's go to Q. I've voiced my concerns about Q, and the fact, my major concern being that we can get into the puzzle solving so much that we don't take action. I'm not saying that the awakening, that the discussion, that the watchfulness, that the observation, that the Q discussion and the Q information gives us isn't worthwhile. It most certainly is. I'm just saying basically that I hope that it doesn't take up all of your time, okay? It's something that's easy to get drawn into, and it's important, no doubt. But as I said the other day, as Q said, to expand your thinking, at the same time we have to expand our action, and I think those are corollaries in the present situation that we find ourselves. And so again, I just want to reiterate that. Now, I watched Tracy Beanz today. She talked to I guess they're the creators of 8chan, I guess is what they are. And going through that, they acknowledged that there were some problems with the 4chan and the 8chan Q posts, that they were being infiltrated to some extent. Well, they finally hit upon what I consider to be a fix. And I congratulate them and Tracy Beanz in having this done. They have basically only assigned a trip code now to Q, and that will prevent all kinds of problems. I'm not saying it solves it completely, nothing ever does, but this is a great step forward in ensuring that when something comes from Q, it can be identified as in fact from Q. So a lot of the difficulties that were being experienced before on that are now pretty much history, and I just wanted everybody to know that, and that the things coming out from Q, they are important, and they do, especially when you look back, you know, the future proves the past, or in this case, the present proves the past, however it comes about. And that is important, because a lot of things, as I've been saying, are happening, and the storm is moving ahead. It's gaining momentum every day. So I encourage you to continue with Q. Just try to remember to not only expand your thinking, but to expand your action as well. And I think we'll be fine. All right. The next thing I'd like to talk about, because I've been doing a lot of Twitter today. I've been out. I finally got back to where I could do a recorded video, and that's why I'm doing it here. I think it's I like being a little more formal when I can be, because you put up with me out in the field, right? And a lot of things are happening. There's a lot of reconnaissance going on, a lot of, you've heard about the UN movements. This whole thing in Chicago, I think, it's basically a death spasm on the part of the Dems. First of all, the law doesn't allow them to go and negotiate with the United Nations unless they're trying to cause a civil war in the country here. And of course, they're up to that. But I don't think that Trump is going to allow it in the long run. This is all just a fake move of power on the Dems' part. So I just wanted to let you know that. Trump's not going to allow the UN to come in here and take over anything, okay? Not a city. I don't care if the mayor, I don't care if the governor of the state wants it. That's not going to happen. And if they try it, they'll be met with U.S. military force. I can guarantee that. So I think your concerns there can be, laid aside. All of this preparation of the UN was done under Obama's, not all under Obama's, but a lot of it, a major part of it was under Obama, with the anticipation that Hillary would win. Remember, as Q says, they all thought she couldn't lose, So all of this preparation, all these things have been made with that anticipation, and it has now gone away. And as long as they don't remove Trump from office, either by some crazy thing like the 25th Amendment, impeachment, I think, is out at least at this point, but at any rate, or any charges of collusion or obstruction of justice, what I'm really concerned about is assassination, of course. But as long as they don't remove Trump, they're not going to be able to go through with their agenda. And they'd almost have to take Pence out at this point, too. Anyway, there are a whole lot of possible scenarios, but I don't see any of them actually coming to fruition on the part of the leftist, Marxist, Soros-backed, Obama-backed people, okay? So we have to stay vigilant. And again, that's why I say don't just look at the Q posts. And there are a lot of good things there, but just make sure that you're staying aware of a lot of other things and that you're taking some kind of action. That's really, really important. Faith is the substance, something you can see, feel, of the things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. You understand all of that, right? Okay. So you have to put your faith in action to some extent. So that's what you want to do. Okay. And let's move on. And Q brought out something the other day where it says that operators are now active. They are in harm's way, prey. And then just today, I believe it was, the op was successful. Think Atlanta, okay? Think, well, some other things. There were some retaliations, but that, I think, was a big move. A lot was going on there. And Trump himself said he gave another code. At one point in Q, it said that George Soros would be in a very special place. And Trump, talking the other day, said that he was in a very special place. He was, meaning Camp David. So some things are happening. I don't think there's any doubt of that. Okay, so that's all good news. No absolutes, but I think all the evidence is pointing that way. Okay, and then Chris Cuomo on CNN, and there have been a lot of other leftists who have been making fun of the way Trump drinks water. And that's because they don't understand the symbolism. And I've tweeted out about this. I actually told some people about it. I watched that speech that Trump gave. He was wearing a purple tie, and he used two hands to drink from an open glass of water. Trump is schooled in symbolism, especially the symbolism used by the Illuminati, by the Rothschilds, by probably Soros himself, the Luciferians, because the Luciferians are imitators of the real God's plan, okay? They twist it and then they use it as a manner of control, but they understand all the symbolism. I'm not saying, again, that Trump is Illuminati or in the bad sense or Luciferian or any of that. What I'm saying is that the symbolism is the same, but on the satanic Luciferian side, it's perverted, okay? That's what I'm telling you. And I think most of us understand that. I'm going to bring this up a little bit more just to make sure that it's going to do the job. So hold on just a second here while I adjust this, please. Okay, let's see if that's a little better. I noticed that the graph was kind of falling down. Okay. All right, so I want to just talk about this symbolism. Back a while ago, you remember I talked about when he drank from the bottle of water, and the symbolism that was all about. If you didn't remember, it has to do with the Hebrew term of swallowing, which means to destroy. Okay? In other words, that symbolism that he did there as he looked at his audience, and his audience that he was doing that to, it wasn't really to us. It was to the Luciferians. It was to the New World Order saying, I'm going to get you. You're going down. Okay? And I talked about that in one of my videos. We saw the same thing in this last speech. At the same time, he was wearing a purple tie. What am I wearing today? Is it purple on the, the color? My color matchup isn't probably as good as it could because my cameras aren't like the ones that they use professionally. But I think you can tell I'm wearing kind of a purple shirt and a purple tie. And I didn't do that by accident. Okay, I would not have done this. I very rarely wear purple at all because of what it's been usurped to mean by the Luciferians. It's a godly color, of course, and the Luciferians usurped it for their own purposes. Soros's color revolution, purple. Hillary was using it, right? We saw Obama with it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, so the first thing is, and I'm jumping around here a little bit, the first thing I noticed when Trump was giving his speech was he was wearing a purple tie. Well, with all of the things that have been happening, what do you do when you take over the enemy's fort? You take down their colors, right? You seize their colors. You put yours up, or you can take their colors and use them. It usually doesn't happen, but it's certainly okay to do that you seize them and use them for your own purposes. And since Trump went in, that's like saying that somebody else the enemy grabbed an American flag to fool everybody so that we think that it's an American, post, but it was really occupied by the enemy. And then when the American forces go in, they actually seize the flag and make sure that they return it to its rightful owner, which is, of course, the American people. Well, that's kind of what the situation's been with Trump here. He has taken the purple color revolution and taken it back to God. It's a symbol of defeat of the Luciferians, especially Soros. Do you see that? That's really what that's about. Now, on top of that also, it's very possible that Soros really is collared at this point. It could mean that. But at the very least, it means that Trump has now considered that the color revolution with Soros as its head, with Obama there too, has been defeated. And while they'll do a mop-up, after big wars and stuff like that, you always have mop-up, operations. But by and large, it's done, I think is what he was telling us. And to send that message, okay, I hope everybody understands what I just said. There was some confusion about, Trump's wearing purple. Oh, no, he's turned over to Soros. No, that's not what happened. He took the colors back to its rightful owner. That's what he did, which is God and the perfect law of liberty, the American people, and all of that. Okay, that's really what that was about. Now, on top of that, I wanted to make sure that you understood this thing doesn't want to stay up. I'm sorry. I should make sure everything's in place. I'm not going to move around, but it is kind of late, and I wanted to get this up. It's still going to take me some time to upload it. So the other thing is, again, the cup of water, going back to the bottle that he drank from before that we talked about the swallowing. Well, he did it this time again. And if you remember, I talked about the 4-10-20, okay, and you can think that's DJT, and it probably had many levels of meaning, but one is the hands, okay? The cup of the hand, all right? On one and the hand on the other, but both, they're holding it, right? Okay, when God helps you defeat your enemies, he says, I'm delivering your enemies into your hands, okay? The Luciferians understand that. So when he grabbed that cup with both hands, he was saying, and then he swallowed the water, he's saying, God has delivered you into my hands and I'm destroying you. And that was the message he was sending, again, to Luciferians. A lot of us didn't understand it. I do, because I've studied these things, and it's obvious to me that Trump has had some training in these Hebraic, Israelite, not really Jewish. These are old things, okay? So don't think it's Zionist or anything like that. And even if it were, remember who his intended audience is to deliver that message to. It is the New World Order, the Rothschilds, the Soroses, all of their people, all of their followers, all of that. Okay, so that's what he was doing there. So I wanted to make sure that I cleared that all up. I hope you find it interesting. The only other thing today that I was waiting on is to find out this thing with the Bundys, because with all of the horrible things that finally came to light that we all knew and we kept talking about, and that the courts and the DOJ and the U.S. Attorney and the FBI were trying to suppress about the wrongdoings of the federal government, the BLM, the FBI, the DOJ, etc., in the Bundy case and in the Hammonds in Oregon, and hopefully we get back to that eventually. But it had to kind of go here now. I was hoping today that we might hear a ruling from Judge Navarro on what she's going to do with this. In my personal opinion, it should be I wouldn't even move for a mistrial under the circumstances and the misconduct that's occurred, even tainting. I'm going to say this, but take it for what it's worth. Even tainting the reputation of her court, what the DOJ, the FBI, and the BLM were willing to do to taint the reputation of her court, she should dismiss it with prejudice, and then do recommend some serious disciplinary action for all of these people like Myrie, who were involved in this horrible thing, and Dan Love, et cetera, et cetera. So I was waiting to hear for that, and I wanted to deliver, some good news on that. I have not heard that. If it has happened, I'm sorry I missed it, but I have been at work identifying things. Let's put it that way. Okay, people, places, habits. Okay, all right. So if it does happen tomorrow, you will see me again, and I'll be talking about it at some point. Let's pray that that's what happens. These people deserve it, the Bundys and their followers, because they did not have criminal intent in standing up to a tyrannical, authoritarian, brutal, murderous, thieving federal government agencies that were supporting just a few elites, Hillary, Harry Reid, etc. Okay. All right. Well, I've gone on for too long now. Have a wonderful night. This is at night here. I'm finishing this up. You probably won't see it until the 20th, which is, tomorrow. So if you do see it, that's the reason why the date's off, although I've been known to get the date wrong before too. All right. Out here for now.